up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm excited about today's video. It's a little bit different, but it's something that you guys requested. You guys requested me to talk more about finances, but this video, instead of being more of like a guide or advice or girl boss guide type thing, is gonna actually be my worst financial decisions and my biggest financial mistakes so far of my life that I can remember making since adulthood so far. Hopefully you guys can get some entertainment and secondhand, maybe not embarrassment, but just like, ooh, yeah, Lindsay, that was not a good idea on your part. So thank you to you guys who requested seeing this video. I'll insert the comment I got on my last Girl Boss Guide video right here. A bunch of you guys thumbs up this girl's comment to do this. And the inspiration to do this video also came from my friend Monica Church, who makes videos here on YouTube. And she made a video last year. I think it was called like my dumbest purchases in my 20s so far. I'll link it down below. I love Monica. I've been loving her vlogs so much lately. If you guys aren't subscribed to her channel, I'll have it linked down below. Without further ado, my dumbest financial decisions of my 20s so far. Number one, probably one of my biggest financial regrets, and it was just because I look back and it was such an unnecessary purchase to make, and I made it very impulsively at the time. So let's travel back a couple years in time. I had just finished paying off my first car, my baby Naomi. So I had spent a couple years making car payments every month, and I finished it. I owned my car, everything was paid for. Maybe a month or two after that, my car had to get some repairs done. Basically, it was like in the shop for a week. It took a little bit of a while or something like that. So during that period of time, they lent me a car to drive in the meantime so I wouldn't be without a car, which was very nice. So the car that they lent me was a little convertible, and I had so much fun driving the convertible around LA that I decided in my head, my next car has to be a convertible. Like, this is the life I was meant to live, living in LA. Like, I should totally get a convertible for my next car. Like, I can afford it, and I should treat myself, and I should get this car. I wasn't gonna get a second car. I was gonna trade in my car for a convertible, which I did end up doing. I traded in Naomi, got some money for her, and then I purchased Alejandro, who was my sexy little black Mercedes convertible, who I love you so much, Alejandro. You were great to me, but you were also a big financial mistake for me that I would later come to realize, and it was an impulsive decision, and I could technically like afford the car at the time, but just because you can afford something, guys, doesn't mean that it's a good financial decision. I took it on a bunch of road trips and I had a great time with it and I loved it, but my car payment every month was super expensive. Also, living in downtown LA at my apartment building, it was $225 a month just to keep a car under the building in a cramped parking garage. So I was paying that every month. My car payment was like $500 something a month, on top of insurance, which mine was pretty high, on top of gas and parking in LA payments. So honestly, it got to be so expensive for me to have that car, and I was like, why do I even have this other than just like, I love it so much, but this is so unnecessary, so I should just sell my car, save this amount of money every month, and then I could just like take Ubers and Lyfts around and rent a car when I need to, which is what I ended up doing. And if I had just kept my first car and not decided that I needed or deserved like another car just because I could afford it at the time, like I would have saved a lot of money and a lot of just like hassle. So my trendy designer handbag obsession that started in high school. So it started with my Louis Vuitton phase in high school, which I wouldn't say is like a regret for me, because at the time, like, I was obsessed with Louis Vuitton, and that was like my first designer nice bag that I saved up for and bought myself, and I got so much use out of those bags and I loved them. After Louis Vuitton, then my Celine obsession began, and I had like 3 Celine handbags that I purchased over a few years, and it was was just like, these were trendy bags, and at the time I loved them, and at the time I got a lot of use out of them, and I was obsessed with them. But then come like 2, 3, 4 years after purchasing them, I was never using them anymore, and they looked pretty in my apartment and hung up in my closet, but I wasn't getting use out of them. So I actually ended up selling like almost every single one of my designer bags because I honestly just I didn't love them anymore. At the time, like when I purchased them, it definitely wasn't a regret from me, but I think I was a little bit too impulsive with, I need this now, and thinking that I was gonna love it forever, or I was gonna love it for the next like 10 years, when in reality I probably loved each of those bags for like 2 years and then didn't really like use them anymore. At this point in my life now, I don't even like use a purse, so it was something for me that I used to really love and I used to get a lot of use out of, but now like when I go out, I literally just bring like a little wallet or a bag that's like this big. I don't have that like obsession with having a nice designer bag that I used to have. All right, number 3. So when I lived in LA, I had a psychic tarot card reading, and I actually made a video about this reading years ago. I'll link it up here. I'll put a card to it up here if you want to watch it. Probably some of you guys remember that video. I went to see this woman again after that because I liked my reading so much, and I liked the lady who did it so much that I went back with like another friend or another group of friends, and I got like a second reading. And during this time I got a second reading from her, she told me something along the lines of, she told me there's mind, body, and spirit. Every person has mind, body, and spirit, and I can't remember which one of the 3 she said was off for me or had a block, but she was like, one of yours is not fully there. And you know what? I understand that this is how psychics make their money, by not only doing readings for people, but they have like deeper work that they do with you. She was like, basically we could work together and you could have some sessions with me and we could work together to do some spiritual work and like figure it out and break the block or whatever. And at the time I was kind of like, okay, like maybe I'll think about it. And she told me how much it was gonna be. She's like, it's gonna be this much to do it, to do the whole process. Like, we're gonna have a bunch of sessions, private sessions, where you're gonna meet with me, you're gonna get some materials, I'm gonna give you assignments to do, and we're gonna like do the spiritual work together to clear your block. Now, listening to this back right now, I'm kind of like, meh, probably just should have said like, no thank you, probably shouldn't have agreed to it. But guys, at the time, like I said, I was more naive. I was more willing to spend my money on frivolous things, I guess you could say. But at the time, I was like, this would be good for me. So I can't remember the exact amount, but I am pretty sure it was between $1,000 and $2,000 for all of our work. It might have been $800 or $900, but I have this feeling in my head that it was like over $1,000. I can't remember the exact amount, but it was fucking expensive. I agreed to it, and I just remember it not being like bullshit. I don't feel like she scammed me because she told me the amount that I was gonna have to pay, and I didn't have to pay any more than that. Like, she told me the amount that I was gonna have to pay. She told me what we were gonna do together, and I went back for a few sessions, and I did feel like I got some insight from her, and she was a really nice lady, but I definitely just didn't get what I needed from those sessions from paying that amount of money, and it was a dumb financial decision looking back. Number 4, dumbest financial mistake that I made in my 20s was a combination of things with my old apartment, mainly with breaking my lease and the amount of money that I had to pay to break my lease early. It was not my apartment complex's fault at all. There is a lease that you sign and you say, this is when I'm gonna move in, this is when I'm gonna move out, and if I break this lease, these are the terms, this is what I'm gonna have to pay if I break the lease early. So I knew that going in. So I lived there for almost 2 years, and after a year I re-signed my lease for another, I think it was another 11 months, and I ended up moving out maybe 2 months before my 11 months was up. It was decided in my mind, I've got to go. I can't make my lease last the next 2 months. The cost to break my lease early was an entire month's rent, which, if you guys know how much I paid for my old apartment, it was fucking expensive. It was like $2,600, and I had to pay an additional, I think like $900 to my building because of changes that I made to the apartment, which I'm not like, fuck you to my apartment complex, like love the building, love the people that work there. It was totally things that I had done, like chalkboard paint and things like that they had to paint over before the new person moved in because they just couldn't keep those things, and it was like damage that I had done to the place. Basically that's what happens if you move out of a place and you're renting and you make changes like that. They can charge you for those changes, and the whole process was just so fucking expensive that looking back, I probably should have been smarter about when I re-signed my lease and just being like, I'm gonna stick through this till the end, or I should have signed, I mean, I couldn't really sign a shorter lease unless it would have been more expensive every single month. So number 5 biggest financial mistake, or not necessarily a mistake, but just something that I didn't really know going into it, was how expensive it can be to rent a car from a renting, what's it called, like a car renting company under 25 years of age in the United States. The charges that they can put on you for literally just being a young driver are ridiculous. So to give you guys an example, my sister and I, this was when I didn't have my car anymore, so we had to rent a car to go on a road trip. And we rented a car from, you know, like one of the big car dealerships. I don't remember which one it was. They're all very, very expensive if you are under 25, just so you guys know. Even if you get the cheapest car. So we were going on a road trip and we had a reservation at a rental car company, and I booked it through like Expedia or whatever, and it said like, oh, it's gonna be this amount of money. I'm pretty sure on Expedia they told me it was gonna be like around $400 something, and we were going on this road trip for 2 weeks, so it was gonna be a long time of having this rental car, okay? So that's something that I understand. Like I was like, we're gonna be renting the car for a long time. It's not gonna be cheap, obviously. It's 2 weeks. So I'm pretty sure on Expedia it said around like $400, $500 is gonna be your total. So we're like, okay, we can split that for 2 weeks. Like that's not horrible. That's just what we're gonna have to pay. We get there at the counter and they just start being like, oh, you guys are under 25. So we have an underage driver fee that charges every single day separately of the rental. I'm sorry, this is so fucked up. There should be a one-time fee for being under 25 and renting a car, and it should be illegal for them to charge you every single day for that. So we had no idea that this was gonna be an additional charge. And I'm pretty sure it was 20 something dollars per day times 14. It added in a ton of money to our total cost. And then of course they tell you that you need the insurance in case anything happens to the car, you're totally covered. So they also had a daily charge for the insurance of the car, which yes, I understand it's not something that you have to get, but at the time we were like, nah, we should do this because like if anything happens, will be covered. So I'm pretty sure that was an additional, who knows, like 15, 20, 30 something fucking dollars a day just on top of the charge of the car. Our total for that 2 weeks renting that car was about, I think it was $2,000 just to rent a car. It was a basic ass car. It was a Ford Fusion. It was like nothing nice, okay? I had rented cars before. This was not my first time. Anytime I rent a car, I really try to avoid, you guys, I really try to avoid going to one of the big companies. Something that you can use is the app called Turo, which is a great renting cars app from people in your city. It's usually a lot cheaper than going to a rental place if you're under 25. And I remember that day my sister and I were just like, fuck dude, how much more expensive than they told us it was gonna be? Coming from 400 we thought we were gonna pay to 2,000 for this road trip. And we were like, this is ridiculous. But we already had plans and reservations to take the road trip, so we're like, obviously we're fucking going. We're not gonna cancel everything. So fuck that. Last biggest financial regret of my early 20s so far, it hasn't been a purchase I made actually, but it has been not realizing the importance of saving money when you are young. You always know in the back of your mind, I should be saving more, I should be saving more and spending less. Like, that's just a thing that we all know. Some of us are better at it than others, and I've gotten to a point now where I've realized how important it is to save and to have savings, even if it's just a little bit of money in savings, like having something in savings and just trying to like grow that. But I really didn't understand how important this was when I was younger, especially me personally, like having a job where I definitely was making enough money that I could have been saving more than I was spending, but I chose to spend more than I was saving. That's probably just one of my biggest regrets. If I could give you guys any advice ending off this video, if you made it until this point, I would say try to just have, even if it's a really small savings account, even if you can afford to put in like $5 a week or $10 a month, that's better than $0 a month. Something that I did do that I am proud of myself that I started at a young age was my retirement account. I started it senior year of high school because one thing I actually learned from high school that I still use to this day was how important it was to start saving for your retirement young. I'm not gonna be fucking retired until I'm 60 something or 70, so obviously you can't really touch that money now. So you gotta have an additional savings for rainy days and just when things come up, like when you go to the rental car counter and they tell you you're gonna pay $400 and then they say no, it's gonna be $2,000. These are things that it's good to have savings for. But I really hope that you guys got some enjoyment out of this. Comment down below one of the dumbest things that you've ever spent your money on. These were some regrets that I had that I hope you guys got some enjoyment out of and maybe learned a little something from. So if you guys want to see more financial type videos, definitely comment your requests down below. I love making things like this from you guys that are just like, hey, this is what I did to fuck up and this is how you guys can hopefully not fuck up. Just learn from my dumb mistakes, honestly, you guys. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and I will see you guys very soon in my next video.